Hi, I'm Rip Esselstyn, and I'm going to answer two questions. The first is, if I go deep into small town USA and take a group of people who are suffering with typical health problems, heart disease, obesity, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and I show them how to get rid of these diseases in just a few weeks by changing their diet, will it make an impact? The second question is, what will that group of people look like a dozen years later? Will the changes that we made still be impacting these folks today? Or was it just a temporary blip? In other words, will they still be well and eating this way many years later? That's essentially what this film is about. Now, if you don't know my story, I was an All-American swimmer at the University of Texas at Austin. After graduating from college, I became a world-class professional triathlete for a decade and then decided to join the Austin Fire Department. Now, as a firefighter, I found that almost 80% of the job was answering the 911 calls. Not to fires, but to medical emergency calls. Every shift, I was pounding on someone's chest, watching someone froth at the mouth because their blood sugar levels got too low, comforting a family whose loved one had just collapsed and couldn't be saved. This was my station, the Engine 2 Firehouse. We had a lot of fun and did a lot of competitive things there with my firefighting brethren, like seeing who could climb the pole the fastest without using their legs. One day, while sitting out on the porch, we had a little bar bet to see who had the lowest cholesterol level. Well, one of the guys, JR, had a total cholesterol of 344 milligrams per deciliter. And it turns out he had a horrendous family history with heart disease. Hardly any of the men on his father's side of the family had lived past the age of 52. And JR had a terrible diet. Basically, he had one foot in the grave. So I made a deal. If JR would just eat how I ate, in just a few weeks, I knew that he could get his cholesterol way down. And fortunately, JR and all the guys accepted the challenge. Now, I had won a lot of races and competitions on what I call a PlantStrong diet. And my dad is a famous surgeon from the Cleveland Clinic who had proven over decades that he could not just prevent, but could reverse heart disease by eating this way. Sure enough, after just 3 weeks, JR's cholesterol plummeted down to 196. A local newspaper did a story, and that led to an article that led to more stories by NPR, the New York Times, and even Time magazine. The idea of reaching a huge number of people prompted me to write a book, The Engine 2 Diet. The book took off. I was featured on Good Morning America, The Today Show, Good Morning CBS, and literally overnight, it seemed, I was able to reach a lot of people with the good news about plants. Ultimately, I left my job as a firefighter and started a company to help large groups of people regain and maintain their lost health. We bring together employees from a company like Whole Foods Market and have a medically supervised week-long immersion program. They learn by seeing and doing how to live a plant-strong lifestyle.
As far as I'm concerned, you saved my life, and I'm going to go and I'm going to save other people's lives too. Thank you so much.
And I went to go get
It's a transformational week for everyone. While I was helping companies bring their healthcare system into the future, I got an email from a woman that I didn't know, a country doctor in Mercersburg, Pennsylvania. Everyone called her Dr. Liz. And this Dr. Liz had read my book, The Engine 2 Diet, and this was back in 2010, and she was asking if I could come to this little town in the middle of nowhere to help her convince people to agree to go on the Engine 2 diet and to basically try it for 4 weeks.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could get this guy to come to Mercersburg and we could create a challenge and we could create a blueprint for other towns?
So I figured, what the heck? I'll go to Mercersburg. she was kind of insistent that I help kind of transform the town of Mercersburg from being kind of an overweight, sick town, small town America, to being a town that's really focused on wellness and health. We had set a date for the challenge. I went to Mercersburg and Dr. Liz had a plan to try and get a lot of people to join in. She took me to the local radio station.
I'm trying to get people to eat more PlantStrong. We have in America right now that is incredibly plant weak.
Yes.
And we get 90% of our calories from either processed and refined foods and animal-based products. And then 10% of our calories are coming from plants, but half that 10% is coming from French fries. So only 5% is coming from whole fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. So my goal is to swing that pendulum around so that we become PlantStrong.
Now, Rip, it's a 28-day Engine 2 diet, right? Where if these people are on this for 28 days, eating healthy, plant-based, what's going to happen? What do you see happening?
Well, a myriad number of things are going to happen. Number one,
we sent out the radio call, and now it was time to start talking to people face to face. Our first stop was with Dan, the CEO of a local factory. Dan knew about the Engine 2 diet because he had tried it himself.
I do a yearly physical, and back in January when I went to my physical, my doctor looked at my numbers and said, Dan, I think we're going to start doing a Lipitor or something like that, and I am not a fan of pills at all. I did 2 months of Engine 2.
Dan had fantastic results. He brought all of his numbers down and no longer needed any drugs. He was sold on the program and told us that we could pitch our PlantStrong Diet Challenge to his employees.
You got to understand, this is South Central Pennsylvania. We hunt in South Central Pennsylvania, and a lot of us hunt not for sport, but to feed ourselves for the year. This is a good meat and potatoes part of the country. So, this message to some, if you come on vegetarian, vegan, plant-based, so we're battling some of that. But, you can't argue with the results.
My job wasn't just to educate, but to motivate. I went in there to get these guys fired up.
I would submit to anybody here that your health is your number one asset. Would you guys agree with that? Your health is your number one asset. If you don't have your health, you basically don't have shit. Agreed? All right, good. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not trying to convert anybody into being a vegetarian. I'm not trying to make you into a vegan. What I'm trying to do, get you to eat more PlantStrong, right? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Next stop for the Engine 2 PlantStrong tour, a local bank and its employees.
Halt and even reverse prostate cancer and breast cancer by eating plants. And why is that? It's because they contain phytochemicals, antioxidants, fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, all these things that help protect us from disease. If you're game, I'd love for you to sign up for the 28-day Mercersburg, 28-day challenge. And we're looking for participants.
The next stop was a little bar and restaurant called Flannery's, where we met with the next group.
We have a population of American men that think it's really manly to eat meat. Whereas the reality is, you eat meat and a lot of processed refined foods, you're gonna be taking a little blue pill to get it up, right? And that's because one of the first arteries to basically clog up is the one going to the penis, right? So I like to say, real men eat plants, and then they can have a 4-hour erection and they don't have to call their physician. How many people in this room are gonna do the Mercersburg 28-day PlantStrong Challenge?
This is how we spent 2 days in Mercersburg, Pennsylvania. Dr. Liz took us here and there and to and fro, and I spoke to groups, to individuals, basically to anyone who would listen. Then Dr. Liz said, okay, Rip, next stop, the high school. As the local family doctor, Dr. Liz says that she delivered many of the kids in this school. There was a great big dairy farm right next to the school. Children of dairy farmers, this might be a tough room for plant-based advocates.
How many people in this room think that America is unhealthy right now? All right. Why are we unhealthy? Somebody tell me, why are we unhealthy? McDonald's, he's saying. Burger King. Oversized portions. All these things contribute. It starts with what we put in our mouths. I want to tell you right now, there's nothing really sexy and glamorous about my message today, all right? It is so simple that it's scary, but it's the most profound, incredible thing that can happen in your life, and that is, what are you putting in your mouth? What is fueling you at a molecular and cellular level every day, every week, every month, and every year?
After slamming these kids with some hard facts and statistics, I decided to give them a demonstration of the benefits of a plant-based diet.
All right, I want some volunteers. I want some of the baddest ass smokers and athletes to come up front. Come on up. All right. Amen. All right, this is what we're going to do, guys. We're going to do some Spider-Man push-ups. This is what it looks like. I want you to watch so you get the form down, all right? Watch. Let's get up on the stage. Come on. Let me see a show of hands. How many people are at least interested in eating more plants? All right. So I've reached about 25% of you guys.
25%. That was a pretty good start. Now, although I had never met Dr. Liz or any of the others from that trip, I had been to Mercersburg before, and that's because in the early 1980s, I had attended the Mercersburg Academy, a private boarding school.
The Mercersburg Academy is world-renowned. They've had 54 Olympians, and it's a great academic school, and it adds a lot to the community.
I wasn't going to miss a chance to drop by my alma mater and see if we could drum up some participants for the challenge. The school let me talk to a group of students while they ate lunch.
That is what we in the fire department affectionately call a redneck smoke detector. Right, it's Jiffy Pop above a doorway. And the analogy I like to make is, if you're eating the standard American diet of processed and refined foods, of animal-based products, that is no more effective at protecting you from chronic Western disease than this Jiffy Pop smoke detector is at protecting you from smoke and fire.
Mercersburg Academy even gave me a minute to interrupt a big lecture to make my pitch.
So just as everybody here was talking about these immersion programs, basically we're talking about...
As it turned out, we didn't get any kids from the school into the challenge, but several faculty members and their spouses signed up. I like to think that we planted a seed with the kids. Before starting the challenge, Dr. Liz and her husband, another doctor, took blood pressure, blood work, and various other tests on the participants. It would all be repeated in 4 weeks so people could see how fast and how much their health improved. Finally, it was kickoff night. Mercersburg Academy gave us a large room and we had a great turnout. Dr. Liz had already put half a dozen of her patients through the program, and these people became volunteer food coaches. They had made a huge feast of healthy plant-based Engine 2 food, and the participants were hungry.
recognizing that the United States is facing an obesity epidemic, particularly amongst our youth, whereas Rip Esselstyn will be in our town encouraging citizens to participate in our community adventure in healthy eating, whereas local restaurants, the Tuscarora School District and the Mercersburg Academy are offering healthy choices to their menus. Whereas
Mayor Ziegler made a powerful proclamation to kick off our evening.
I thought that was a really nice meal, nice variety, good textures, a lot of taste. Does anybody in this room feel like they were deprived eating that food? No. Good. Anybody in this room enjoy it? Okay. Yesterday I was talking to the mayor and he said that Mercersburg basically doesn't know the word can't. There's nothing that Mercersburg can't do. And I want to say that that is so applicable to what's going on right now. And Mercersburg can be the first small town in America that absolutely embraces health and wellness and become the leader in health and wellness for all small towns across the country. So I want to kind of set that as the tone for the evening and how proud everybody in this room should be about taking part in this fantastic movement.
After an evening of educating and trying to inspire the Mercersburg group, I left them in the capable hands of Dr. Liz and her food coaches and returned home to Austin, Texas. 28 days seemed to fly by, and then it was time to go back to Mercersburg and see what had happened. And what happened during the challenge? The group had weekly potlucks, each bringing in a favorite dish. Participants shared tips, recipes, and moral support as they all started feeling better.
This is, 28 days, and we're graduating tonight.
The results for the 28-day challenge were typical for what we get in our program. In other words, they were fantastic.
I went from 285 in my cholesterol, and I got my count back, and it's on 215, so we are going down. I've lost 20 pounds.
I've lost 38 pounds in the 4 weeks. My glucose dropped 56 points. Cholesterol dropped 40 points. My LDL dropped 40 points.
I did lose 27 pounds. So, thank you, Rip.
I tell you what. My belt. Look at this. Watch.
We listened to participant after participant describe how 28 days of PlantStrong eating had given them energy and dramatically improved their health and well-being. Most people are shocked by how much they improve. If you take the 28-day PlantStrong challenge, on average, you will lose 15 pounds, drop total cholesterol 39 points, drop LDL cholesterol 32 points, drop triglycerides 25 points, normalize fasting blood sugars, and normalize high blood pressure. Half of the participants in the program who were either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic at the end of the program, they had normal fasting blood sugar numbers. And in many cases, people got off blood pressure and their cholesterol meds. It looked like Dr. Liz had the right idea to bring the PlantStrong message to her town. The Mercersburg Challenge took place in 2010, over a dozen years ago. So what in the world has happened in Mercersburg since then? Some really cool things. Many participants changed their diets permanently and still remain PlantStrong. We used Zoom to catch up with Dr. Liz and some of the participants and found out they built on their success. They've spread the Engine 2 Challenge far and wide, and although they call it a healthy eating adventure.
So after Rip left, it was amazing. The group of persons that had coached came up to me and said, Liz, we have got to keep this going.
When I saw how this worked, I approached Dr. George and said, Liz, this information is too valuable for us to just keep here in Mercersburg. I agreed to join with her to help expand this all over Franklin County.
And they volunteered to then start do another adventure. And 3 months later, we created another adventure. And people kept volunteering to do more adventures.
Since 2012, we have done more than 24 healthy eating adventures within our community. We've been doing this and have impacted thousands of people's lives.
The immersion happened at a time that was kind of pivotal in my life. So it gave me an opportunity to sort out information in a way that I felt was reliable. And having the dinner really was important. We not only were talking about the food, we were eating the food. That kind of social interaction and taking part really had an impact.
The benefits that I experienced when we did the first initial challenge, it has continued.
If I hadn't learned about a whole food, plant-based approach to eating, I wouldn't be as healthy and as strong and as fit as I am.
12 years after being part of the program, it's still having an impact on me. I have a tower garden that I can eat right off of in the kitchen. I have found that having that in my home makes it kind of easy and to stay more plant-based oriented.
I have had at least one doctor. He asked me if everything was okay because in the year between when he saw me for one physical and the next, there was a 22-pound weight loss, and that has stayed off.
The plant-based diet definitely helped me lose some weight that I may not have lost before, simply through exercise or watching what I ate, and I kept it off. My weight has pretty much stayed the same.
I had some onset of arthritis, but right now I don't have any arthritis. It stopped, and I'm no longer treating for arthritis. So I think that's a pretty big impact.
We had a fair number of people whose collagen vascular disease reversed, ankylosing spondylitis that reversed, joint pains from different kinds of arthritis reversed, skin from psoriasis or acne got better. So there's this inflammatory component that we don't always think about. Oh, our food is causing this inflammation. And that's very powerful when you see those changes also.
Your taste will change. You'll begin to understand what sweet really tastes like. I regularly make dumpster fires, which is the blueberry dish that is probably the easiest dish on the planet to make and is my go-to sort of dessert and or breakfast when I just can't think of anything else to do on a Sunday.
Give it a try. Don't knock it until you've tried it. It's easier than you think, and you may be surprised at how you feel, and it may change your way of thinking.
It makes me feel grateful to see what happened in Mercersburg when a seed was planted, and to see that seed grow into a beautiful PlantStrong community of beautiful people. As for me, in these past 12 years, I'm PlantStronger. In addition to the educational retreat programs that we offer through my company, we launched a PlantStrong food line and today have dozens of delicious products to help people become PlantStrong and stay healthier. But where my heart really is in helping people like the ones in Mercersburg back in 2010.